You all right, guys?
Yeah, good. We went to a wedding years ago. Martin's daughter was getting married in London.
Right.
Hey, Sean Dyche is here, bro.
The joke
Say hello
was
to
actually
Sean
about an hour
Dyche.
long. It was brilliant.
Was it Who Fired the Cannon? He loves the Who
Yeah,
Fired the
that
Cannon.
one, that
It
one.
had to be the Who Fired the
That one.
Cannon joke, yeah. Oh, so we're on there.
You good? Oh, very quiet.
I know.
So
I'm reading up.
Can be.
What are you reading up on?
Hey,
Hey,
it's a bit late. No, you should have done your homework last night.
I got this in Paris.
I think you're here, Dave.
So, I love it, Jill.
You like it?
I'm reading up on...
Oh, God's sake. Why do you bring your phone? Are you liking having a new phone?
Do you know what I am, actually?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's like new me.
It's a new
you,
me. It's a new me.
You know
I've got to have a revamp.
when we go on WhatsApp to you, the messages don't go through. Do you, turn your phone off?
No, you can do the one that says no ticks. And it's
No
like
ticks.
Yeah.
grey ticks, yeah.
He's-
You
yeah.
can
always
read it,
does
but
that.
it doesn't let you know whether...
He doesn't know if you've read it or
Yeah,
not.
that's the one, yeah.
Do your messages
It
to
might just
him
be on
do
your
one
setting.
tick?
Might just be on your
No.
setting. Your kids will know it. Just
I think you've blocked us.
No.
I'm not... Do you have a WhatsApp group? I'm not on WhatsApp.
No, it's
you're just not
our...
in the group.
I'm that.
No, we have a little group message, don't we?
Why are you not on
Yeah, but I'm
WhatsApp?
the only one who responds to you.
Why are you not
Right.
on
Oh,
WhatsApp?
you are.
Yeah.
What?
You're so rude.
No, right, you did, actually.
Thank you.
You did.
And I did.
I
Yeah,
hate
you
WhatsApp.
He did, yeah.
What, because
No,
of
I
the
No,
rules?
are you sure?
You did.
Yeah, I get that.
Got no alcohol in it.
I came off WhatsApp 5 years ago, and I think I was right.
What's that? What are you talking about? What's that? What? Because you don't want to be in the groups? Yes, please. Yeah, thank you. I don't like
You
the fact that
want WhatsApp?
people just put you into a group.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. should
I
they?
don't think they should be able to.
Because all of a sudden you're...
You've been only in your team now. You've been only in your team now.
Yes, love.
I'm going to start...
If only they knew.
Are you jealous?
If only they knew.
I should put it in my red stripe.
Yeah, exactly. I was telling
Not of them
someone-
stories.
I was telling the Thursday Club that story the other week. Loving it.
Which one?
About building the red stripe.
Oh, yeah, the
red.
red,
If you knocked it
brilliant,
over,
yeah.
you have to go and buy the round. Do you remember?
Do you live round here?
No, I live in Nottingham.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, I like Nottingham city centre.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Me and Dyche were a Forest together.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was there, yeah.
Where were you then? Where were you?
Our careers went the same way.
What do you mean? So you played together?
No, I'd gone to Chesterfield. You'd come out of the League of Ireland. You had a hangover period, and I was in the playoffs.
From you have a hangover.
It's a big hangover. For about 5 years, he had that.
Yeah.
5 years.
You were gone. No, you were there when I was there, but you went on loan.
Yeah.
That kind of that
Yeah.
started that
Yeah,
season.
so I was on.
How old
yeah.
was you then?
Yeah.
Actually, how old was you, Sean?
So I'd have been, I was a young first year pro, so I'd have been 19. I'd be right when it was in
Yeah,
90.
we used to go to Chesterfield when you were
Yeah,
playing.
was it 90 you come out?
I would have been 19, yeah.
Yeah, no, 90.
That's a sore point.
90 or 91.
No, 90. I think 90, yeah. Just after 90.
Yeah, that would be right then, 90, yeah.
Cup final was 91.
Yeah, so I went on loan to Chesterfield
Right,
in
yeah.
90.
Yeah.
That's when we were living together, and then at
Yeah,
the end of the
then we
season,
go
we
and
had
watch
the
the playing,
playoffs.
yeah, of
Oh,
course.
you used to live
You two lived together?
Did you?
Only for a bit, because you come in the digs, didn't you? Remember down at Collick Road?
Yeah, I was kind of moving around, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I was.
Not in Dabbing. Well, they all were then.
I just couldn't settle. No, I did.
They were all young pros,
Yeah, but
so
digs, yeah.
so we stayed in the Forest digs, but then you had 1 year, and then after that they kicked you out. You know what I mean? So he'd come in and stay in there for a bit, and a few of the lads would stay there, and then we'd disperse off to
How many
get
people
digs.
could be there at one time? Was it a massive place or something like that?
The original
All
one
of the
before
flies.
Keane was there, when I was an apprentice, was 2 hours and well, it was a fantastic crack. So there'd be like 13 or 14 lads in there.
No
and the
way.
old couple used to look after us, old Geordie couple actually, Tom and Olive, but amazing. And they'd be chasing us around the house and all sorts. You know what I mean? And then over the road, there was a smaller house where if you became a pro,
Yeah.
you were
That's
allowed
what
to
I
live
was
in
in,
the other
yeah.
house. Yeah, so you stayed over there with us.
Yeah.
And you know, when they did the front room as like a TV room, but then one of the front rooms was a bedroom upstairs and all that.
Did
there'd
you have
was there four?
curfews?
Was there four of us? Was it me, you, Stan? Was it Stoney? Me, you, Stan? Stan was there, definitely.
Stan Collymore?
No. Stand
No, a lad called Craig
That's
Warburton.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was.
Did you have curfews?
Well, sort of.
Curtains.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
No,
curfews
not when you're
or
not when you're
No,
first.
not when you're in
floor.
pro's house.
No, but in the big
In the
one.
under 18s, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it used to be hilarious. We had to be in by 12. So you used to come in and you just run up the stairs and we'd shout, it's Stoney. Tom and Olive would be chasing us. Wow, you bugger, Stoney. I'll get you, man. It's Stoney. Yeah, good times.
I've got a note here that you used to garden for Brian Clough.
Yeah, no, it's like...
Not a full-time job.
No, I was going to say, my dude, the way I was
Never
playing
ran
at the
with
time,
you, did you?
he said, you've got a better chance, young man, of being a gardener. No, he used to come around the digs and basically, or send the note round saying, get 3 or 4 of the lads. So a lad called Chaz, do you remember Chaz, who used to do all the groundsmen, good guy. So he used to jump in his car, drive us over to his house, and you just have to do the garden.
You love this stuff, don't you?
I
just loved it. Clough would do that sort of stuff, get 4 of the lads and get them come and do my garden.
No, there's some brilliant ones though. So we had this lovely house, really long gardens, right down the bottom. We found a tennis ball, but we could see it over like a little hedge sort of thing. So one of the lads goes, go on, fucking get it. So, go on, get it. So he goes running over, does the old, sort of flops over and gets a tennis ball. So now the other lads, I think it was Stan or someone, goes jumping over. So we're now playing our tennis over. So Cloughy comes up and he goes, hey, you, get out the neighbour's garden. Get out the neighbour's garden, you house.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're like, and he went, what are you doing? Because we found a ball. We're playing our tennis. He goes, well done. Well done. Keep playing. Honestly. Brilliant. So there weren't a lot of gardening done by the way.
Yeah.
He just seemed to lawn the lads around. You know what I mean? Sometimes if I remember Lee Glover was a naughty boy once on tour, and his fine was to go out to Clough's house every day and do his garden. Instead of finding money.
Wow.
Literally,
Did you do his garden?
No.
Because did you go when you was a pro then?
Yeah.
I suppose you didn't know actually, because when he
the
gave the old, old reducer.
I never got that.
You're out doing my garden, you know what I mean? Just teach you a lesson.
Never, obviously, I was well behaved. I didn't have to.
Of course not.
Did a garden.
Yeah. Very quiet and unassuming. By the way, you sitting down? You've just been done 10 points. I went, hey, I've never even been told anything about it. I thought it was going in the wrong direction now, and I think there's an uprising. I think even fans, they're going, bored, getting bored of it. You know, I keep hearing CDM. I'm going, what about just being a midfielder when you used to run up there and try and score and you used to run back there and stop it going in that goal?
It's too simple.
Everyone's a number, aren't they? 6, 8,
2, 8,
10.
playing with 2 soft 9s.
I was a soft 16.
No, soft.
He said quite clearly he's not going to change the way he plays.
You better win some games then, pretty quick. I reckon if I went there and played my way, I reckon I'd win more games. The diving for me has got excessive, I think it's ridiculous.
Saying that, you had Ashley Young at Everton, he liked it.
I know, I mean other players, not my
Well done,
done.
What have you been up to, Sean?
Just to be honest, we were just saying loads of stuff comes your way. You know, it's like media stuff, and I've done quite a lot down. And they're just life stuff. Game of golf. My lad plays, he plays at Northampton Town, so I've been watching him play, which has been great. I've seen him play more times than I've done in the last 4 or 5 years. My daughter's away at university. She's doing a psychology degree. She did the Rome Marathon.
Wow.
So I managed to go out there. Yeah, that was great. Managed to go out there and watch her do that.
Oh,
So that was brilliant. Really enjoyed that. Did a bit for the LMA. I went to Hong Kong for the LMA. Massive charity called Laureus. So, you know, I was in the Laureus Sports Awards.
Yeah.
That was good. Went to Lake Como, see Cesc Fabregas with the FA.
Right.
You know, just to throw some thoughts around and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, just all sorts of bits and bobs.
How were
Couple
you
of beers now and again.
So we've obviously had managers on before that obviously have, come out of work. And how are you in that first few weeks when you come out?
I'm all right. I've always been all right with that sort of stuff. Look, you know when it's not going right. I thought the timing was right to protect what had gone on, really. And I mean that sincerely. You know, Morsey will tell you. I just felt that we'd done what we could, took it through a tough period. The players are beginning to get that thing, you all know it when you can see it, and the pressure of it, the weight of it was getting too much. I'm used to it, 'cause that's what you do as a manager, but I just thought it needs something to change. Either we change it by we get a result, and sometimes it all just changes, or you change the situation.
Yeah.
So I spoke to Kev Thirlwell. I said, look, been in a long time now, you can smell it, it's changing. My contract was up in the summer, so you don't know how that's going to go. But I just had that thing that when I got there, it was in really poor shape. That's nothing to do with the managers, nothing like that. I mean, the whole business was in really awful shape. And we'd kind of navigate, not just me, by the way, Kev Thirlwell, my staff, the players, everyone played a part, navigating it through. And you just feel it dwindling. I thought, right, I'm not going to leave it when it keeps going down like that. I wanted to leave it when someone's got a chance. And it was in good shape. And I got hammered for saying that, but now it's been proved right, because Moisey came out and said, no, he's right. He said they was in good shape. They just lost that bit of edge that players lose sometimes.
You know, when you was getting ready to go, did you know how bad a shape that they were in?
No, because they're never going to tell you the truth. They're never going to sit there and go, by the way, it's in absolute dire straits. But you get in there within a week, you go like, oh my goodness, what is going on here?
Could you have gone there a couple of years before?
No, there was a lot of talk of it, but it was it never came to
happened, no.
fruition, no. And I think the time was about right, because if you know that weird thing, if you go there a couple of years before you even get in there, it's kind of the flow, the tidal flows against you, you know, it's like, what do I want him for? Whereas when I got in, I think 50-50 at least, where people went, you know what, we probably could do with something like him, you know what I mean? So I think it would have been
So what's that like, though, Sean, when you go in and then all of a sudden after a week you realise, geez, I'm coming in now and it's a night, it's a shit show. You know what I mean? How do you blast through that? What do you do?
Well, you have to sort of strip it. Well, my idea was to strip it back, and I was trying to link in like a modern view of the Everton of the past. You know, there was all these stories of Dogs of War and how tough it was to play there and all that. They'd gone through all these different transitions with different managers on the pitch. You know, some playing out of the back, some 300 passes in your own box, which is modernism now, of course. You know, I'm sure we'll go on to that in a bit. And then, you know, trying to get it back to a bit more edge to it all, and sort of regroup a little bit. And I thought we somewhat got there. So that was the main thing, to get the players all.
But did you enjoy that side of it, Dyche? Is that a part of your strength, you think, getting people together?
I think the thing was, it wasn't, they were, by the way, they weren't not trying or anything.
Of course, yeah.
But just the simple things, you know. I mean, people make a big deal of it, but you know, like I do the yo-yo test, right? And it's only because I've got years of the stats.
Yeah.
So again, they're going on a hard line, and I was going, just trying to see if they fit or not.
Yes.
And they weren't. Three of the midfield players come last. And I thought, there's trouble
That was
there.
him.
Is that the bleep
We were
test?
talking about this
Just pre-season,
before.
if I had a late night.
That must be quite.
Guinness used to be good.
Three
then.
midfielders coming last must be
No,
something.
but that's when you go like, you know, when I'm going, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
This is where we need to start changing it all around.
Your
Right.
midfielders should be first, though.
Well,
Were they
that's what I'm
actually
saying,
the
yeah.
unfittest, or was it like a mentality
Well, no, that's the thing. Well, either or, right? Things like the yo-yo test, things will tell you, it just shows you both. Who's going to get back on the line and keep going? And who's going to sort of, after that weird thing, I'm really tired, and you go like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it does both. It's either a literal test of stats when you look at the stats and you go, right, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
Or you go visual test when you're looking, going, right, let's see the runners and riders.
Yeah.
Because before you worry about anything, or the thing that I think about football, you need people to try. You'd be surprised how many footballers you think, are you even trying? It's a strange business nowadays.
Who was
So I
manager
thought we need
before
to
you,
get the
Sean?
trials on the pitch before we worry about anything.
Yeah.
Who was manager before you?
Frank.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Frank, like I say, there's no question I know the manager here, right? Because Frank's a good guy. I get on well with him. I spoke to him as soon as we come out there. As soon as I saw him at the LMA do at the end of that first year, we were chatting about the players and all that. Different managers have different ways of trying to make it work. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It'd be really easy.
Jamie Carragher called it the worst run club in football, I think, to be fair, about 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe before you took the job. I mean, Wrighty just called it a shit show. Can you just describe the uncertainty and instability that's actually occurred at Everton in this last few years? Obviously, there's been the financial stuff, the points deductions, the 888 sort of money coming in and then them leaving, the ownership being all over the place. How did that impact you?
Well, it's not like literally a daily thing, but mainly it's the media side, because you're answering as soon as you go in there, you're answering how are you going to sort out the chaos? And you're going, you know, before you even kick the ball. So you've got the business. So at the time, you probably know this, but to remind anyone who doesn't, so the chairman couldn't come to a game, the chief exec couldn't come to a game.
Graham Sharp.
Just about come to a game. Sharpie couldn't come to. Great fella as well, by the way, legend, great fella. Couldn't come to the game. And you're going, right, that ain't ideal, is it? You know, they're not allowed to a game because they're going to get hammered and death threats and boos and all that. So you have to try and sort of park that a little bit. And the team at the time are getting questioned, you know, and the whole club's getting questioned about everything. And it's always in that shadow, which you've heard about many other clubs. You know, we're a big club. And you go, yeah, but it's not in a big club state. It's a big club. There's no two ways about it. Big following and all that. But it's not in the shape of a big club and how it should be. So then you have to go, right, what can we affect? And the first thing to affect, you've got to win a game, obviously. I mean, you know, you've got to get it over the line. And it was, you know, I think they were game 20 and we had 15 points. So you're already going like, it's a tough one, this. And then you get off to a fly because we were at Arsenal. But even that, everyone thought it was solved, you know, in the dressing room. And I'm going like, what are these lot all jumping around for? Serious, I was like, lads, whoa. I said, call your jets. I said, there's a lot more work to this, just one step. Because I'm looking going, you ain't good enough to keep beating Arsenal every week. Right. You know what I mean? So then you just keep with that platform of your training plan. And then, you know, you've got a lot of games coming, but you need to get them fitter and you need to get them, not fitter, you need to get them your fit. That's a better way of putting it. Because each manager has their different way of playing. So I had to get them the fit that I think they should be. Sharper mentally. And I basically went to strong, fit and organised. I think, right, well, first things first, how are we going to get this just to get it over the line? Strong, fit and organised. I thought if we get that bit right, I still think there's enough talent here who's going to pull off a goal or a set piece or whatever. So we went big on that, strong, fit and organised, which I do anyway. But I mean, that was a clear line. Told them, this is where we're going, lads. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we need to do.
Do you always have that, or would you go in and think, sometimes do you have to let your standards drop if you think you can't get the players to that, or is that like a non-negotiable, you've got to do that? Like, is that your way?
Well, I've only ever done it that way, but I think, it's the old favourite. The culture of a dressing room is different, but there shouldn't ever be that big a difference where you can't at least be professional, work hard and fit. That should be a responsibility.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're asking, whatever dressing room you went in, if you went in a team of world stars, I don't know, if you're in Real Madrid, they should at least go, look, you should be able to be, strong, fit and organised. You should know, if we tell you what you need to do, you should know the game if you're a top player. You should know you've got to look after yourself. You should know that. It should be a given. It's often not, by the way. So I'm not really asking anything that peculiar.
Yeah.
And then there was a big thing, simple stuff. Honestly, it makes me laugh now. But like when shin pads in training, they were like, wearing white socks, I still can't get my head around that.
Yeah.
White socks. They make a lot because of my sore feet. And I was going, it's funny, all them players before you, they never used to have.
So you were asking them to wear shin pads in training? You were asking them to wear shin pads in training?
Yeah.
And there was a big furore about it, and I went, no, it's really
I wouldn't
simple.
like that though.
What?
I hate you wearing shin pads in games.
Yeah, but I think it takes the training, because we went through that change. I think the training's not as competitive. If I see you in white socks, you're not going to absolutely nail you.
Right,
Well, I know you.
No, but it's fair, but you're on to something. Yeah. By the way, there's a million lines out there.
I know, yeah.
Goodness me, are we back down that road again?
No, go on, Sean. Explain, because what you're saying about, what you're saying...
But you're also putting a
I think
marker down.
so,
You're also putting a marker
Would you
down
give
with
them
people.
permission to kick each other then?
Well, so guess what? So
You must look at the shin pads and going, does that mean you're going to win on a Saturday? Probably not.
No.
But I'm just getting a few pointers across the
Yeah,
island
getting
to
a
walk
feel, a
across.
different feel to what was there. And you're right. And so I come out and Moisey says you can wear what you want. Because not because he's undermining me, just he goes, right, let's change the feel.
Yeah.
So you're right, and that's clever management.
Why wear shin pads though?
Because of the competitive element.
It definitely
So it
changes
was always,
it.
I wanted
like a
training
game.
to be as hard and as fast as we could make it. I mean, you're never going to get full competitive like a game, but, push it as hard as you can. And like you say, just to lay down a little different feel, like, no, this is the way we do it. And snoods and all that, I was like, no, the rule was you can't wear it in a game. So you can wear anything you want that you can wear in a game, you can wear in training. You want to wear, some tights, you can wear them. If you want to wear 6 layers, you can, because you're allowed to do it in a game. You can't wear snood in a game. No. And by the way, if someone does pull you never know nowadays. You catch someone, strong, athletic fellas, boom.
But you feel you have to apologise for these, as if you're explaining yourself all the time.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
And you go like, can we just get on with it? Yeah. And you got like Ashley Young, brilliant. Young's going, okay, what are we doing today? Let's get out there, let's crack on. No, not them guns, I don't want them guns. I'm kind of like, what you need that to get out and train. I'm kind of like, come on.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you run a small business, whether it's a cafe, a shop, or a service, you don't just clock off at 5 p.m. I know you're thinking about it constantly. And when it comes to hiring, you need a partner who can match that energy. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. It's like having a recruitment team that never sleeps. You can post a job, share it with your network, and get proper qualified candidates. And you manage it all in one place. It's simple and it gets results. 72% of small businesses using LinkedIn say they found high quality candidates. You know when your club signs that one player who just fits the culture of the team, the one who lifts everyone around them. That's what LinkedIn helps you do with your business. So if you're looking to build your dream team, find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn Jobs for their next great hire. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/STF. That's linkedin.com/STF to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Obviously, Everton haven't been successful for a long, long time now. It's a huge club, and you say it's not in a huge club state, which is fair enough. I think Everton fans would accept.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
But what is it about the club that basically has failed the fans in the last 10, 15, 20 years from a point of view of sort of the money they spent? Not now in the last few years, because it's been a struggle in the last few years, but what is it that's failed there that you can see of a mentality?
Eventually, you always go around, it's no one's exact fault, because there's a number of people, by the way. It's not just one person. Like Mr. Michoud took a lot of stick, but he wasn't making every decision. He's not deciding, there's 30 people in the offices who have got jobs now. He's not running that every day.
Who was running the club?
Recruitment's the hardest thing.
Sean, who was running the club when you got there? Who ran the club?
Well, kind of some of the people in the offices were still running the business side. Kev Thelwell was trying to, me and Kev Thelwell were trying to pull together things like common sense, like contracts, we're going to have to sell. Well, we've got to sell so-and-so. Playing players, imagine this, right?
What was the no structure?
You guys in your job, right? Of course, it's your job. You have to do what you do, right? But when you're inside and they go, nah, why is playing them? People are getting, I'm going, right, okay, the brief is I've got to bring money in. Mm-hmm. So whether I like them or not, some of them are playing because I've got to try and sell them. Yeah. And you ain't getting the same money for them if they're not playing or they're binned. So you have to try and play them and still win a game. And then you're trying to play them well enough that you can win a game. Then you're trying to win a game just to bring some money in, because if you don't get the money in, So then the next season, I'm sitting there in Dubai and I get this phone call, international break, by the way, obviously. And I get before anyone's going, he should have sat there during the and then I'm like, by the way, are you sitting down from Kev? And I went, what's that? I'll go back to your point. And he goes, what's that? And he goes, we've just been done 10 points. I went, hey? I'd never even been told anything about it. I was like, wow. Are you kidding me? I was like, what on earth is going on here?
Did you say cancel that cocktail when
I said, get me 5. I mean, imagine that. And you go like, hang on a minute, where has that snowballed from the day I walked into there? How has that happened without any form of me knowing anything apart
That's the point, though. So who's the responsible person on the ground running the club that's mismanaging the finances, that's making those decisions?
Well, it's not. One thing to be clear on, one thing I learned, it's not as simple as that. The legal amount of different ways you can look at the finance, different ways they can put money here and there and there and there. It's not quite as simple as going, you're only allowed to do that, that and that. So there's all sorts of different accounting models and everything. So your account model against their account model against, the Premier Leagues and all that sort of stuff. So it's not quite as simple as who's just making up the decisions. But don't forget, one thing you've got to remember, and I'm not patronising any of that statement, is you've got all these fans going, why aren't we signing so-and-so? So you're sort of trying, to be fair to the ownership, you're sort of trying to keep them on board a little bit. Look, we're doing what we can, we're trying to sign so-and-so, but then, when you sign so-and-so, you've got to get rid of you to sign so-and-so. So do you get what I mean? There's lots of different things. So I'm not going to put blame on any one person. I think there was a lot going on.
Who offered you the job, Sean? Who was the person that you met when you first got the job?
Bill Kenwright, rest his soul, obviously, as chairman, and Kev Thelwell, they were the main two.
Right.
Then after that initial kind of just Zoom call, quite casual, then it was like Mr. Mashiri as well.
Yeah.
Met the three of them and they were the main ones then.
Yeah.
They'd obviously gone to people like Sharpie and gone, what do you think? I think, behind that, but it was mainly them three who kind of appointed me. And even then, they're not. They want to sell you the positivity, don't they? Yeah. So it's like, we can do this and we can do that. And then about an hour into the job, you go, that ain't gonna happen, is it? You know what I mean? And then the reality starts hitting straight away. I mean, you go,
Did they tell you there was very little money? Did they tell you there's very little money in the interview?
Well, they said that the idea was that with a trading model and all the terminology you would come out with, by the time the summer comes, we'll be in a better position and we can do this, do that, do that. It wasn't quite that scenario, obviously, but there was a lot. Like I say, it seems really simple for everyone on the outside to just go, well, why didn't they just do that, that, and that? But when you're in there and you realise what's going on, and like I say, you've got to remember all along this journey is a demand from 40,000, at least 40,000 just in a stadium every week, going, why aren't we doing this? I mean, there's some funny things, I'd say. Right, we took the team to Evian, a beautiful place. We've been there before with Burnley. We had this friendly...
Where the water's from?
Yeah, the actual place. Yeah, they're beautiful. There's a beautiful...
Switzerland,
yeah, well, France actually. So yeah, it's the lake. So Lake Geneva. So we're on this side, and we get off to this game. We're just playing this little, in the pre-season, just a little game. And I swear on life, one of the fans, he went, "Why aren't you signing 2 centre forwards?" Giving it to me, and I went, "Are you kidding me? I'm the only manager of all time who doesn't want to sign 2 centre forwards." Because fans are demanding. The fans are like, "Why aren't we doing this?" He goes, we had like millions and millions and millions and millions in debt, and they're going, "Why aren't you signing?" I'm going, and you're trying to sort of manage that. You're trying to, through the media, going, trying to...
You think you made a mistake taking the job?
No, I don't think so. I said recently, I did a thing for Talk Sport with my mate Johnny Owen, and we were going through it a bit. I couldn't be more proud of what we've done. Yeah. Not just me, but
just after what you've been told, and then you get into it after a week.
But a lot of managers go into jobs. I'm sure you learn from it in future days. You don't believe everything they're telling you in that sense. Yeah. Expect the worst when you go into a job.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think there was no skullduggery. I think they were just trying to paint a picture. Look, it's going to be better, and we'll support you for it to be better. Yeah. But then the reality hits quite quickly, and then when the points deduction comes along, really, is that better? And it started getting more challenging then. Weirdly, that kind of galvanised it all. And then, the even more difficult thing, to be honest, and I don't mind sharing it with you, is that you guys are doing your job, but guess what? I'm doing all this, and you're going, didn't have enough passes at the back and all that. I'm going, really? I'm going, that's the least of my worries, trust me.
Yeah.
Because you've got all that demand. Why aren't you playing this way? Why aren't you playing that way? Why aren't you playing them? Why aren't you inverting the wide players more than you normally do and all that?
that
You're like, really? I'm going, and you think we're worried about that, actually, and I'm going, yeah.
Who was that coming from, Sean?
Just win a game. Let's try and win a game.
Who was that coming from, Sean? Who was that coming? Because I can't think I've never watched Everton and thought I think they should play more passes. I mean, the fans, to be fair, usually are a little bit negative towards playing out from the back. They usually like.
No, what I'm saying is the swell becomes different. What I'm saying is my goal with this group of players and the whole club is to guide it through a shitstorm, as you described it, right? But the reality is it's not that. So everyone's going, yeah, but why aren't you doing this? And why aren't you doing that? And why aren't you doing this? And why are you not playing them? Why are you... Do you get what I mean? Because there is no reality.
From the day you went in, Dyche, to the day you left, was it like survival all the time? Obviously, you've got to go through
more or
periods.
less.
Was it always just...
You know, the hardest thing, the biggest achievement actually made more trouble was the fact that with the adjusted points at the end of that season, it would have been 10th, I think. Would have finished 10th or 12th. But guess what? All the fans then presuppose, well, if we finish 10th, we should be 8th next year. They go, we ain't got no money and we're not signing anyone. And these are the group players and we're going to be the same old. And yet it's like reinventing, selling chocolate teapots. You're going like, what are we going to do with that?
We talk
that's
about
the most difficult thing.
The points deduction, haven't we, like in the past? But I always wonder, like, how does that impact the players? When you actually have to...
They were really good. The fans were brilliant, by the way, I must say. They didn't, because they could have gone even more superpowered against the whole, the whole situation and the owner and all that. They were brilliant. The players were first class. The second time, I think the one that knocked us was after the second one, I think they thought we were going to get more points back. And they just kind of went, oh, we'll give you 6 we got. And then they went, oh, but there's another 2 coming. And they were like, really? That was the one that really knocked it. Yeah. So the players were like, oh, here we go again. You know what I mean? Yeah. We had a really awful run then. And then we turned it round. We got smashed at Chelsea, probably one of my worst nights as a manager. And yet, ironically, we turned that round and then just went woof and just went flying again. And that's sometimes football. Sometimes they need I call it bottoming out. They needed a bottom out moment. Yeah. Not just me, the players. Yeah. Where it's almost like they all look at you and go, hang on a minute, that's miles from it. That's miles away from it.
Do you always think as well of a manager when you're up against it in the league and all these challenges? But a cup run would have been nice, Dyche, wouldn't it? If you could have got, was it Fulham or home? Was there a quarter? Was it? Like a trip to Wembley could have got. You shipped it. Yeah.
No, I'm not against it, but I'd seen him do it in training. To be fair, right, and he did nail it a lot. But and I was thinking, I understand they're going, I don't do that. And Jordan, to be fair, had 3 chances to save 1 and all that. And you go, no, come on, just give us a twist of fate. Yeah. And that did knock us,
Yeah.
So I thought we had a tough.
I remember watching that.
Because we were motoring a bit, and everyone went, oh, and it sort of took the steam out of us a little bit. As a collective, it was almost like,
So all your battles in the league, it's kind of a trip to, a nice real cup run, like a semi-final would have given a big boost, wouldn't it?
But I think, you know what, you guys played in really successful groups and stuff, and I think that's the difference. When something like that can defuel you quite quickly, I'm like, hang on a minute. Deep down as a man, you go, we're not solved it here. Because if that defuels you that quickly, we're in trouble. Yeah. Whereas the marvel of the best teams and successful teams, even ones at my relative level that I played in, was going, yeah, that's done, right, let's crack on. Let's take the next one on. So that was weirdly an underlying worry for me.
It's a boost for the supporters, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Cup run would have given them a lift.
Yeah, but what I mean is the players, when I thought, hang on, you've gone under a bit after, what, just because we lost a cup game on a penalty? Yeah. I was like... Yeah. But that was when I thought, that ain't right.
When you did get the spell where it just started to, you see a little bit of light, was there any kind of enjoyment, or do you think, this isn't going to last?
Yeah, the enjoyment, the weird enjoyment is sorting it all out a little bit, you know what I mean? Because the enjoyment of, I remember when Decore scored against Bournemouth. I remember literally getting home and just having a glass of wine and going, that was it. I was actually deflated because I thought, we shouldn't be in this mess. No, it shouldn't be like this, you know what I mean? And I said after the game, I said, lads, no running around going, whooping and hollowing and spraying champagne about. I said, we need to change this. We shouldn't be here. End of. So it's sort of underwhelming, but sort of pleasing because, you've helped play your part in guiding it to a better moment, So it's kind of, I don't know, the enjoyment, it's an odd enjoyment. I thought the process at Burnley was more enjoyable because it was underdogs, you're winning games, you're knocking a few of the big fellas over, and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Everton, it was like a constant grind. It was like, everything is like, another chance. I mean, apart from beating Liverpool, because that was great for the fans, first game against Arsenal, the Decore goal, which was an awful week, an awful game. Never want to go through that again. It's awful. But a magic moment. I've never heard a crowd like that ever. Honestly, I swear to you, I've never heard a crowd go as mad as that. So there are some magic moments when you do enjoy it, but it's a weird kind of enjoyment at a club like Everton trying to bring it through this process. It's more the achievement of going, at least it's intact, because it was getting very close to just going really badly wrong.
Do you buy into this theory that maybe exists that probably everybody that this new stadium's going to fix things?
No, well, that was another thing. It's strange how I think it's partly my character, but people go, no, you must be good, you're not going to take it in the stadium. I was like, no, not at all. I said, it's going to be there 100 years. You know, nothing to do with me. I didn't build it. You know, it was made to me. I just wanted to win a game, that was all, and try and be successful. So I'd never, a million miles from my thoughts, you know, stuff like that. I've never really bothered with that sort of stuff. You know, I've been all right with that sort of stuff. And Moyes as well, brilliant. I don't know why people go, no, you know, you must be gutted. Why? Brilliant. We left it in decent shape. I said that, and he's gone on, settled it down, added his new twists, like you say, and give it a different feel. Some of the players rise a bit more, and then won some games. I couldn't be more happy. It's like Burnley, when they come out of Burnley, you know, they all go, oh, you must be like they went down. I went, absolutely not. So 9.5 years of graft, and then they've gone down. Why would I want that?
I'm more talking about the actual club in terms of the club's struggled for quite a while now, Everton, but do you feel like this new stadium will bring the club a more prosperous future where they're not, to be fair, fighting relegation, they're not sort of down...
No, do you? Because you know, right, well, no, probably different Old Trafford, right, Arsenal, right? They get the new stadium, remember there was a bit of a weird... Not a who, but everyone's going, oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And over time, it becomes the new Arsenal.
Yeah.
So you don't know, do you? How's that going to affect them? The old, you know, the grand old lady and the feeling and the fans on top of you.
Yeah.
You can't go, how do you measure that until you go out there and do it? I think it still comes down to having good players, of course. And they're going to need more players, Everton, to be more successful than what they are doing. They're going to need more players and an improvement on them. Not necessarily, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's quite obvious after years of hovering in sort of nowhere land, well, they're going to need more. So that might change things. But the actual stadium, I don't know, there's all these stories in there. Well, you witnessed one, and, you know, I'd say it's different Old Trafford, I haven't changed it, but you know what I mean? Some clubs thrive off it. Some clubs, they need it so badly. I think most people, although the history of Goodison, I think most of the fans, you know, thought, we've got to change it. You know, it was costing a lot of money just to keep it, you know, health and safety and all that. So I think everyone really, in the end, goes, it's got to go.
What was your favourite memory at Goodison as a manager? Is there like a particular...
I think the Decore one, like I say, the heaven and hell of that moment. Awful week. We had injuries galore. We had to change the system. 5 at the back, playing a winger and a midfielder. Jimmy played right back. Dwight Hill played left back. People just playing all over the place, and we won. So the heaven and hell of that has got to mean something, because that made sure the club at least had to go breathe and move forwards.
Yeah.
The response to the points deduction, the first one, was amazing from the players. Probably overridingly, because the biggest weight I felt in football was after the Chelsea game, when everyone was going, you know, they're gone and all that, and the fans are turning on you and all that. So to come out after that and go bang, 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 including the Liverpool win, that's very pleasing as a manager, because you've got to guide through that awful experience. You've got to go and face the media. You then got to do the media building up for the next game and go, how are we going to come out of this? So rather than one moment, that's like a week's way of handling, as manager, handling an awful situation in 1 week and turning it around, ready for the next week, and then winning.
Yeah.
They're not only winning, going win, including Liverpool, win. And then you're safe, and you go, that's a good week's work. After that, what's just happened? You know what I mean?
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. You managed, obviously, Burnley for many years, and obviously then you've gone to Everton for a few years. I mean, your Burnley team were... You mentioned the phrase dogs of war before. I mean, you could not find a harder working team than that Burnley team. Did you find that in the Everton dressing room that work ethic wasn't the same level as you had at Burnley?
I don't think it wasn't the same. It's just you're dealing with different characters, different players, you know, different skill sets. You can't expect them all to just be like robots and all alike.
Yeah.
So I think the difference was at Burnley, they just began to believe in it, because obviously their careers were growing, the whole club was growing. So you believe in what you're doing. You know, they're going, right, why should we start messing around with all this? Because they're all getting bonuses and contracts and doing quite nicely out of it. So I think it was a longer process. At Everton, we tried to build a bit of that, but not taking away the fact that we had maybe a bit more talent, you know, in certain players and stuff like that, different ways of trying to operate. So yeah, it was I think it was 2 completely different clubs, obviously, but different groups of players, you know. And I think some of them Burnley players were very underrated, you know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the mass perception of what you do, you know, it's like, but you remember all the Brexit football and all that. You know, I used to get this all the time, right? It's interesting. I went to Everton and answered all these questions. Didn't mean to, but you can't manage it. You'll never manage a big club. Well, big club in turmoil. That's one thing. Can't manage foreign players, where there are lots of foreign players, creeds, culture, everything you can imagine at Everton. So at least I've ticked that box. Because at Burnley, it used to be, I won't do this, I won't do that. You know the truth of Burnley? The board used to say to me, we don't want to make mistakes. So therefore, you go back to your knowledge, right? And you'd find youth team coaches, head of education, to go back and look at players in their past. So we were trying to sign good characters. And even that, you know, it's funny, you know, in the media, I remember this. I mean, Sean, is it fair to say you only sign good characters? I went, oh yeah, you don't want to sign them any good characters, would you? You don't want to sign good characters. I couldn't believe it. They gone like it was like some kind of magic weapon.
Yeah.
Who wants to sign a load of divs? You know what I mean? Who wants that? I couldn't
You
work
can
it out.
swear.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was wondering how. Fuck, you've told me that.
Is there any player who's like, when you look back on the players you've managed, who's totally exceeded their expectation just through sheer determination? And like, is there a player that stands out?
Ashley Barnes, I used to have a joke with him. He was playing at Poulton Rovers and that, you know, like 15 years ago. See what he's done in the game, I'm telling you. He's a fourth promotion the other day with Burnley, fourth promotion with the same side. I mean, squatting something for 450 grand. Scored goals in the Championship, they helped us get promoted. Came down, did it again. Scored goals in the Premier League, done a cruciate, carries on. You know, players like that. Scotty Arfield. I mean, Scotty Arfield, we were Scotty Arfield, right? The first season we got promoted. So Dave Jones, you'll remember Jonah, on a free transfer. Half his knee missing, but unbelievably fit pro, amazing, free transfer. Tom Eaton, free transfer, just got relegated. He was my first ever signing. I got hammered for signing him because we lost Lee Grant to Derby. And Scotty Arfield. Now, Scotty Arfield, right, was going to go to MK Dons or Southend, and we signed him, and he got promoted to the Premier League on about 1,800 quid a week. And then ends up leaving all them years later, playing in the Premier League, scoring goals, doing amazing in Scotland, and let's say he's comfortably off. And you just go like, that's a brilliant story for me. I go, brilliant. Pick a kid who was going to Southend, and no disrespect to them clubs, but goes to Burnley.
Change his life.
Yeah, and I think I love stuff like that. You know, Barnsley's sort of similar. There's so many of them, though. You know, I don't know, like other players who just, you know, sort of tumbling along their career, doing all right. Ben Mee, the growth of Ben Mee, you know, from being a left back. I knew deep down he was a centre half. Put him in centre half, never looked back. Tarky had to sit behind Keane, you know, Michael Keane. Had to sit behind him for like months waiting for his chance, but trained like mad every day. I say, Tarky, I said, I'm telling you, when it comes, you'll be ready. Never look back, Tarky. And you admire these people. You know, the goal is giving everything. Popey come out of the blue. Popey, he's another guy I seem to do well. Goalies who get relegated. He got relegated at Charlton.
That's a good sign, isn't it?
But you know what, though, even them, I'll tell you a story, right? So, Billy Mercer, the goalkeeping coach, he tells me about these lads. Tom Eaton, I was going to sign him at Watford, and I got the sack, and I had a meeting with him, and I promised his agent, I said, I'll come back. For Tom Eaton, I said, I'll come back. And I did. I got the Burnley job, and I signed him. And he got relegated, and I got battered for it.
He's a good lad, Tom, eh?
Oh, brilliant. A good keeper, really, really good keeper. Fantastic. You know, things like that, they're brilliant stories for me as a manager and the staff as well, you know. But so many of them stories, so many people who... Popey side got relegated at Charlton side for like 1.2 million. Monster. But we noticed him training, so he's decent, you know, he's learning, he was moving, he was desperate for the chance. And Tom got injured, and I threw him in out the blue. Never looked back. Some keeper, I tell you.
Yeah.
Joe, I had to leave Joe out eventually. Joe was brilliant. But we couldn't win a game, and he was actually the one that was playing. He told this story fairly, by the way, later on in life, because they were asking him, you know, about me dropping him basically, because he'd actually been playing well, but we couldn't win a game. And in the end, I just told him the truth, because I don't like lying to players. I go, Joe, you're the only person I haven't tried. It's just my gut feeling. I'm going to put Tom back in. So that's it. There's no reason other than that. And he was obviously, he's like, well, that's the best reason. But later on in life, he went, no, he told me the actual truth, truth. Because I could have made up some story, you know, and all that. Sometimes you think, no, just tell them the truth. But there's so many stories, of different people. I've only named a few there, but amazing, some of the players I've worked with.
Are you looking to get back in?
I'm not at the moment. I think, well, for one of the timing is wrong anyway. But no, I think taking a breath.
Wrong with what? Just because it's the end of the season, you mean?
Sorry, not my timing. I mean, you know, clubs are all just going to have this time to fathom out and see what they're doing and all that sort of stuff. Got offered a couple of things straight away, and I just went, no, it's not for me now. And then wait and see what comes. I mean, you know, you never say never. It's like with the Everton thing, I was going along all right, living my life, enjoying having a break from it, doing a few media bits and quite enjoying charity bits and other things I do. And then the Everton one comes up, and then you feel that bug, or you don't. You know, you either get that taste in your mouth, or you go, no, that's not for me. So it's not an exact moment in time.
What's the most important factor of the next job? Would it be, do people like I know I hear managers going, it's the ownership, is it the size of the club, or is the full package?
I love that.
After having what happened to Everton, would you think it's more to be owners or
No,
the
but
size
you know
of the club?
sometimes I see other managers getting, it needs to be the right colour, right? And I'm like, all the best with that. Yeah. How are you going to find it? No, you're going to find a job with the right owners, the right fans, the right owners, the right stadium, the right training. Yeah, all the best with that. So so you just go, right, what's going to come? I would imagine, you'd hope to think you got a bit more, but I would imagine most people think I'm a firefighter now, so they go like, get big hose, get the big hose out and start doing that. You go, okay, and that's your job, but. Yeah,
but are you fine with that, Dyche? What's wrong with that? I know perception can be wrong on a manager, but if that's what people think about, and that's how I work, that's what makes me successful.
No, you spot on. So rightly so. Agreeing with you. When I went in at Everton, they were asking me about the end of the first season. I went, no, I know I've been bought in here. I said, mate, no mistake. I said, what's wrong with that? I said, businesses around the world bring in different CEOs or managers or whatever to do a different job and take them forward in a different way. Mine was to manage a semi-crisis or chaos situation. That was my actual job. They weren't bringing me in. Trust me, they weren't bringing me in going, Sean, I want you to play a 3-4-3 and get the goalie to chip it over the centre forward's head. They go, Sean, can you do us a favour and keep us in the Premier League and keep the money coming in?
Yeah.
That was my job. That was my remit. And you're right, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm like, no, if you want that job doing, then I'm probably going to have a good go at it. I can't guarantee it, but I'm going to have a good go at it. I'm going to get a handle on it.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not scared of that at all. If someone needs that, I'm going to go, look, this is the job, this is where we're at. You're the clean-up guy, and then we get one of the fashionistas in after you. No problem.
Yeah.
Tell you one thing, it pays well. And you get that big hose
Sure it does, yeah.
Sure it does.
You've got to get something out of it.
Comes back to the money, really, doesn't
Got to
it?
get something.
You just touched on style. I mean, pretty much you're aware of the fact that ultimately, whether your style, you play more direct, you don't play only 6-yard box with your centre backs. I mean, we've talked about this a lot this season, I think, on this show, because to be fair, I get it for certain teams and I get it for certain coaches, but I don't get the idea of this copycat nature of how it's developing. Even League Two games that we watch, you see it and you think, is it going to be more difficult for you to get a job in the Premier League purely because of your style of play versus how everybody else in the world feels like they're watching
whether
football?
it is or it isn't, in the bigger picture of football, I will share a view here. I personally think football's going in the wrong direction now, and I think there's an uprising. I think even fans, because I speak to a lot of fans, they go, I'm getting bored of it. Getting bored of passing around the 6-yard line. People go, no, it's their philosophy. How about changing your philosophy and let's stay in the Premier League rather than getting relegated? How about that one? Do you know what I mean? I think there's a little uprising of people around that.
What did you make of Company at Burnley last season with the
Well,
investment and the football?
I was actually, I told the story, it was kind of semi-tongue-in-cheek, but there was a point behind the story. Firstly, to clear up, Vince is a proper fella by it. So, it was never, they tried to make out I was having a go at him. I wasn't. I was suggesting the bigger picture of football. If you can be not successful and get massive jobs, there's got to be something a bit odd, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you what, in answer to your question, imagine this, right? Because I was talking to someone about this the other day. So you're sitting, I'm an owner now. Imagine I go, what's your philosophy? I'm hoping, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, please say to win.
Yeah.
But now as they go, yeah, we're going to fan out the bad, we're going to pass it here, pass it. If I'm an owner, I'm going, you're not getting the job. So you lost sight of it before we even start. You want to win. Your first answer is about 4-3-3 and all that. I'd be going, that'd worry me, straight away. The point I was making about Vincent Company was, to spend a fortune at a club that, relative to the others doesn't have that amount, and then to play that way and come out of it on 24 points at the end of a season. Forget about him as a person, my point was, in the role, and they get the buy. That is a bit of a coupon buster, surely. Surely that's just fair to say. That's not about me having a go at anyone.
Yeah.
Surely everyone in football...
No one saw that coming.
Exactly. And now the worry about that, the point I was trying to make, the bigger picture point, which I was just getting involved with is, so now if you're a manager, and I look at, so the last 2 seasons, 3 clubs have go down again. I'm going, whoa, hang on a minute. Surely one year's going to change. Surely you're going to go, right, I'm not doing that. I'm going to change because I need to stay in the Premier League. And then the irony of it is, and you've definitely done this because I've heard you going, sticking to their philosophy. And I'm going, what about changing your philosophy?
Yeah.
What about changing your philosophy and stay up?
What is that?
I can't work that out.
What is that?
Is that managers being selfish a little bit?
No,
looking after themselves, going,
yes.
There's a perception of me, your team's losing every week, but we're nice on the eye, but you're losing every week.
You can say that about Company, can't you?
Yeah, but Keane,
a few managers. It's happened last year and this year.
That's what I'm saying. But the idea is that you pundits often go, oh, yeah, but that's their philosophy. Almost like get out of jail free card. I'm going, I didn't get that. People won't go to me, whacking it forward, losing, look, rubbish. No one's going to me, that's his philosophy, and sort of give me almost like a get-out-jail-free card for playing the right way. You know, that's when I go, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
If I'm the pundit, I'll be going, whoa, how about changing your philosophy? Your job is, you've done the first bit, get them in the Premier League. The next bit is stay in it. That would be if I'm the owner, I'm going, no, you need to keep us in the Premier League. So your job as the manager and the coaches is to make sure you find a way of keeping us in the Premier League.
But if there are the managers who are doing that are probably thinking, well, I'll get a better job, but my team are losing every week. But the other owners will be looking at certain managers going, we like the way he plays.
Company.
Yeah.
That can't be right for the game. It can't be right for an industry, can it? An industry that's turning over billions of pounds. Because trust me, in any other industry, that don't. You know, if you go into Cadbury's, imagine going to Cadbury's going, by the way, I'm going to change your recipes. Oh, yeah. And the sales went through the floor. They go,
not
I don't
Cadbury's.
think so.
Sick. Spoiling me day.
Oh, yes,
Jesus, fair. We're in trouble then.
Yeah. But you have a point, imagine that, and you go, no, we're going to change all the recipes. And you go, what do you mean we're going to change the recipes? And then you go, what, we're failing? Yeah, but it doesn't matter, it's our philosophy. It just don't happen. For me, it's not that. I just go, nah.
I think other than Jill, because Jill's been through the City model, so you've been obviously taught that sort of way of playing out from the back, and you see it and you believe in it. The rest of us around the table, I don't think, believe in that level of football being played from the back at the 6-yard line. I think my view on the philosophy is once you've started to teach the players a certain way, you look stupid if you change. I like Liverpool this year. I think they play on the counter-attack. I think they sometimes play, to be fair, direct from Van Dijk and
absolutely
and Trent
He'd
Alexander-Arnold.
been firing dags all over
all
this
the
season.
time. And I think sometimes they also play they play possession as well. They sometimes play high press. Sometimes they go really deep and they just soak up. So for me, they're adaptable. I think the problem is that some clubs, and you know it better than I do, they're just taught one way. They're not taught to play on the counter-attack one week and then possession dominate the next week and then potentially more direct the week after. They are coached, and it's like a curriculum. It's almost like you must play this way. Your full-backs and your centre-backs must be here.
No, but that's where academies are a question. But that's a bigger picture when we go into academies. But they're bringing up this. We all must play this. The most damning thing I could say about academies, and they're amazing, by the way. They're amazing. The pitches, the way they look after everyone, the health and safety, and all that, amazing. Prep, everything.
Yeah.
But how about letting that kid just be a footballer? Now it's like, got to receive on the back foot, you can only pass it 10 yards. I don't see these kids now, because we get them, coming out of the system and coming into mainly Burnley more than Everton.
Right.
Kid from Man. Go, can you just knock one on the outside of your foot? They're like, I don't really do that. I just play the inside of my foot like 10 yards. And I'm going, what's that? When I was kind of lower league player, I'll tell you, here's one for you. Right, this from the old days at Palace. Lift one, just lift it, put air on it, lift it, and bend it in behind the back four.
Yep.
I can't get players to do it. I can't. I'm screaming, I'm going, just live. I'm doing a debrief. This is with proper recognised Premier League footballers. I'm going, can you not just? And I'm showing them in the game, and you see the back four, because all back fours now got players in front of them. I'm going,
Whoever.
Name names.
No.
Do you know who's brilliant? Who done it for you at Burnley? Trippier was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Trippier was the best.
I'm telling you what, right? I said in an interview recently, he's my favourite Trips, and the reason is this. I said back in the day, we had Danny Ings up front, right, and Kieran Trippier right back. I said, this modernism and, my team don't play the right way and all that. I said, I'd be doing him a disservice as a footballer if I said, Trips, you're only allowed to give it to him 10 yards, because he can pass that ball anywhere on a football pitch.
Yeah.
Kieran Trippier in any style, inside of foot, outside of it, whipper, dipper, smash, grab, lift it, anything. So I'd be killing his career, I'd be hurting his career.
Yeah. He used to get in trouble. I remember playing with the outside of my foot in training, and getting stopped, getting screamed at.
At City?
Should have played with the inside of your left, yeah. I didn't have a left foot, so I used to play with the outside of my right, but you did. And the academies as well, I remember 7, 8-year-olds going like, and they'd be talking like, I'm a right back. I'm like, how do you know you're a right back at 7 years
6.
old?
Yeah.
Like, you should be trying all the different
Honestly, every player, Jill, now, I'm a number 10, really? There's a queue about a mile long. You just go like, yeah, you're all number 10. Oh, here's another one for you, right? I know we're going off piece there, but I keep hearing CDM. I'm going, what about just being a midfielder when you used to run up there and try and score, and you used to run back there and stop it going in that goal? I said, are we not allowed to have 2 pistons, they used to call it? And it's called just being a midfield player. No, because I was brought up as a number 6. And go, so you're only allowed to pass it backwards?
Yeah. That's the other one, numbers, isn't it? Everyone's a number, aren't they? 6, 8, 10.
Playing with two soft 9s and all that.
Soft 9s.
Honestly, right, I'm like this. You can imagine me and my staff, or Tone, Me, Tone, Woney, and then we're sitting there, Steve Stone, we're going like, oh.
I can imagine.
Double pivot, got the double pivots going.
Yeah, but then people say things like you're prehistoric.
That's because you're dinosaurs.
Of course,
like,
that's what they say. Of course, and they're not far wrong, mind.
Sean, what's a
hard nine?
What's a soft nine?
Like, you know, like, just stand there like
what's a soft nine?
I asked what a hard nine was.
Are you a soft nine or a hard nine?
I think
What's
I'm a hard
soft
nine.
nine?
I don't know what's soft.
That sounds so rude.
All right,
you're soft 9, so you're not the full number 9, you're sort of half number 9.
You're not soft.
I was a soft 16.
No, soft.
Soft 16.
Sean, have you
You
ever
know what?
Serious. But do you know what? though?
Yeah, but people get the ump about that.
I'm a
No,
soft
No,
six.
on a serious note, but I say to some of the younger managers, because a lot ring me now, and I go, look, my 2 rules of thumb, I say, be careful telling them, well, what you're going to do before you've done it. So just try and keep it really simple. Not we're going to play the right way, we're going to have 5,000 passes, we're going to win the league and all that. And the other one, I go, just be careful. I said, do put out enough bullshit to make it sound like you were using all these modern words, but little enough where your peer group don't go, what an absolute whopper. So I go, just try and stay on that
Not
level.
easy, that.
No, it's not. So I used to buzz off it. I used to buzz off it. So sometimes when I was at Burnley, we were playing it, I go, right, lads, I'll get a couple in this week. So I remember when I went, right. So in the interview, I went, lads were terrific today. I said, at the end of the day, I'm bereft of superlatives. Just stood there like that, and the lads are in the office. Recycled it. The right back just recycled it out, to the soft 9. And we just buzz off it. We'd just be in the room, just going, listen to this. You know what I mean?
See that in the lads.
Yeah, and you just, but you do. The problem is, you do have to do enough of that now. You go, because if you don't, you are seen as a dinosaur.
Yeah.
You're getting good at it, yeah. Years of practice.
have you lost jobs in interviews because of your style of play?
Probably, yeah. But that's like saying you got to remember there's another job that comes your way because of your style of play. They go, the other thing that's mad about it is because when you dissect football now, it's often like vertical passes, of course, like how many possession, But the stats that people forget. Go and have a look at the players that me and my staff developed. You look at the players that we developed, and apparently we only play this way, right? You look at the players that we developed. You look at the money they've gone for compared to what we bought them in for. That cannot be, right, without good coaching and operation. It can't be. They can't all develop themselves. Some players do. Some players learn naturally on the job, right? But you must be guiding them somewhere for them to be brought in at this level and be sold at that level and still go into the other club and know how to play. Somehow they seem to know how to play, but apparently they didn't know how to play because we're just kicking it forward.
So your next job, Jason?
That's nonsense.
But there must be, obviously, I go back to always look at managers going to, there's a certain fit for certain managers, isn't there?
Yeah.
Do you not think? Like Burnley, obviously, was the way you were saying, getting players in and working
Steve
with
Bracknell for me. Sunday League, Steve Bracknell. Do you know of him yet?
Yeah.
No. Steve Bracknell. That's where I fit.
No, but there's a certain fit for you, Dyche, isn't there? There's for everybody.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll find that one, obviously, next.
No, I think there is, and I think there is a time and a place, but reflecting on it, trying to, as I call it, de-bullshit in the game, because there's too much now. It's too much for me, graphs and stats and everything, and we all use them, we sometimes play with them a little bit, and we guide them differently. But it's getting overkill now. I really believe it, and I think the game's on that awkward little stage now where some fans are getting bluffed and blagged into, oh no, but we play the right way. Hang on, you've been beat again. Beat again. Yeah. The goalkeeper's been chipping over the centre forward's head and it just got it nicked again and just got another goal. There's a lot of time when everyone goes, hang on a minute, do you know what I mean? I don't know, but that's the way it looks to me.
Do you worry about the game, the 3 teams that have come up going down and vice versa for the last 2 seasons? It worries me, to be honest with you. Does it worry you in the sense of sort of the Premier League becoming more difficult for Championship teams coming up? And you've done it, you've made this journey.
Not for me to actually worry about, but I get your point that the gap is getting bigger.
Yeah.
But the bit that I'm more frustrated is what we've been talking about. You get up there and then they start still doing the same thing. Yeah, but that ain't going to work.
But it's always been difficult for teams to stay up.
Yeah, of course.
It's getting more difficult, right?
No, it is. It's
getting more difficult because of the way teams are playing.
Yes,
well, I'm not sure.
That's the whole point. You're not giving yourselves a chance in a match.
Statistically, it's now, to be fair, over the last 5 years, been the hardest it's ever been to stay in once you've gone up.
Yeah,
so
there's a reason for some of that, Nev.
You think it's a
lot of it's just the way they're playing out front the back.
No, I think so,
They're getting caught.
Southampton's a big example of that.
Huge example.
Not by you guys don't forget, but fans sometimes forget that when they go up playing like that, the team you're playing, guess what? They've become adept at pressing. And they've been doing it at
If
high
they win
level.
high up the pitch, they are going to score.
I don't get the bit where they can't change, where the managers say they can't change.
Mix it up,
As you said before, you've got to win.
Do you not think...
If you're playing this way and getting beat every week, change something.
Going off piece, but I think it's worth a mention. Scotty Parker, they said it's been a boring season. 33 without a loss and got promoted for Burnley Football Club. What do you mean boring season? What do you mean boring season? Guaranteed their financial future, the players, the kudos, the town of Burnley, getting all them people coming in for the Premier League. People going, yeah, it's been a boring season.
That singing at the end was a bit over the top, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, maybe a little bit. It's a fair one.
Who loves singing?
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. If there was a job to be taken, which one would you take?
As in anywhere?
Any job.
It was always when Man U was the job that I said because of the size of the club, not because it's Man U, just because of the sheer grandeur of it, particularly back then, you know. I mean, I know it's suffering a bit in a minute, but, you know, the whole world, which you guys know, but the worldwide feel of it, you know what I mean? I always thought that's a big, big, super-powered club, you know what I mean? So,
what do you make of what's going on there? With obviously Erik ten Hag losing his job and now obviously Ruben Amorim, you talk about philosophy and style. He said quite clearly he's not going to change the way he plays.
You better win some games then, pretty quick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I reckon if I went there and played my way, I reckon I'd win more games, and I'm not just saying that, just 4-4-2. Do you know what I mean? Give them basic rules and principles.
Yeah.
And go, look, some good players here. You know, you don't have to overteach everyone, I don't think. I'll be interested more in the longer run. If he can stick to his principles, and then next season we're all going, hey, fair play.
It's not a long run if you're not winning.
But that's my point. I was just going to say, at the minute, I think he's getting a fair roll of the dice because people are almost going out the players and all that. But he's been there a while now, you know, so you better start bringing some action soon, I think. Some wins, I mean, not action, some wins. Because I think people go, hang on a minute. So, yeah, it's win enough to buy enough time. I might get this wrong, I hope I get it right. Hal Wilkinson had a great saying. It was win, survive, succeed. So basically, you have to win first, and then you can survive because you're winning, and then success is when you do lay down all your principles and your playing style, and, you know, so if he can do that, if he can win enough, which is the worry at the minute, then survive the process and then succeed, and that's going to be a better... Because people forget about Pep, you know, the first season he came over, they finished 13 points off the top. He made more changes, tactical changes, and more individual changes than any other manager in the Premier League that season, and finished 13 points off the top. If you went into Real Madrid and did that, you'd probably get a sack. But people forget that, so it took him a season, even with his knowledge and the amazing manager he is and these principles and the way of doing things and all the best players that he brought in, still took him a season to work it out. I remember when... So the point is, if Amorim turns into that, you have to go, OK, they've given him the time. But the question mark is...
We're 40 points off it, though.
Remember when they played against Leicester? I think the first time when they played against Leicester, and Sanya and Clichy inverted and they lost, I think 4-1. People were going crazy, laughing at what's he doing? What's the right back doing? What's the left back doing there? Look what's happening now.
Now it's genius.
I like managers being given a bit of time.
Yeah.
Personally, some of the stuff they can do, and we can all argue the toss about that, about their individual moments in game. But I'd prefer if managers do get at least a good window and a chance, which many don't now. I'd prefer them to have a good window. I'm very pro-manager.
How much is enough time, what do you think?
Well, usually that's decided by pundits, media people and fans. No, it is. But no, usually nowadays it's the fans first, and then pundits and the media. The media can hire and fire as powerfully as anyone now, because you can coerce a fan base very simply now through the media, and you can put a power one way or the other. So if that wasn't there, I think they'd probably get more time. But now it is there, so you've got to be ready for that. You are going to get the media angle. And very quickly, you know, the media, not all media, but you sell the thing that people want to listen to now, because obviously it gets more clicks, and then more clicks is more advertising, more money, more revenue. So a lot of pundits, a lot of media people do sell.
Do you think that is the reason?
The masses want to hear.
If you went to Man United now, Sean, sorry, Joe.
No, it's okay.
What would you say a fair amount of time would be to get it right?
I don't know all the stats, but or how long's it been in now? How many games? I mean, right, pre-season, the obvious one. The easiest answer is here, pre-season up till, let's say, the halfway point. Let's say that. But it's not always designed like that, is it? You know, you get the job and it's halfway through the season. If it's not early next season, then I'd be saying, it hasn't worked. So, you know, if I'm the director of football, then I go, right, you've either got to change what you're doing and make it work, or we make a change.
So you're talking about at the very beginning of next season, say October, if Ruben Amorim wasn't getting results, you think he'd be under pressure?
Christmas?
I'd be surprised if not, because you've done your bit this season. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He's laying down his platform for success, right, the future, and educating, let's say. Then you get your pre-season, because now you've got that window to actually work on it day in, day out, and all the players sort of shift a few out who don't maybe buy in, shift the ones in who do buy in. Well, then if it's not early next season, how long do you go? When you go, well, we've given you all that, we've done all this, we've done all that, we've all bought into it. that's the tough one, isn't it? What I'm saying is the perfect scenario is at least if you get a pre-season and juggle the transfers, by Christmas, if you're not having some form of success, I think most people go, do you know what I mean? Like, it needs to start working pretty quick. Probably get the next window, and then by January, February, they're going, it ain't working.
So you'll be going to United at Christmas time.
I'm quite sure I get that job.
You know what, you say that, it's easier said than not getting rid of lads, don't it?
Yes.
Getting lads who are sitting there on
big contracts.
Especially the money they're on,
Yeah, big contracts.
It's a hard part for United.
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. I want to finish talking about British coaching, and particularly English coaches. It's been an absolute nightmare for English coaches to get the top jobs, just generally over the last 10, 15 years. Obviously, a lot of international coaches have come into the Premier League, a lot of international players, which obviously we've benefited from. But where is British coaching going? What is the English style that basically sort of like, you can see that other countries have developed styles of playing, the way in which they do it. What are we doing in our country? Because English coaches are not getting the best opportunities. No,
but to be fair, we've spoken about this openly many times, that if you look at the ownership of football in the UK now, particularly the Premier League, I think it's 14 now foreign-owned clubs. So therefore, it's fair to say they probably might look at foreign managers because they're foreign people to the football or whatever the style of football. So I think that's one thing that already puts you under pressure as an English manager. Just use English rather than British. You need one to pop out of the woods like Eddie's doing great and hopefully can do better, because then that gives everyone a bit more maybe belief in the system. You need opportunity. I mean, look, we can't all change it overnight. We're not just going to change the culture of the whole of the Premier, using the Premier League as an example, change the whole culture. And I don't personally think it's helpful that the media ask this question all the time. They ask about foreign managers. And yet, how many foreign managers have been in the UK, right, in the Premier League, and we've all gone, really? But it's almost like, just a bit unlucky. Yeah. What do you mean unlucky? Absolutely clueless. What are you talking about? If that was a British manager or an English manager, you'd be saying clueless. Yeah. So I think sometimes the media can sell it a bit differently and go, hang on a minute, there are some very good English coaches and managers out there. You know what I mean? Let's look at them, because Eddie gets a bit of kudos, but I think could get more. Where is the next one? I don't know the exact system. But everyone thinks as well, like, in my opinion, like the FA, well, it's up to you because you're not designing the best. It's not quite as simple as that. You look at some of the foreign managers, look at their past, look at their journey. It hasn't been just a design system. They went, look, we're all going to be perfect. And the other thing for me, we've been copying since Spain and Pep and that. Everyone's been copying football like that. And no, it wasn't point in copying everything. At some point, someone's got to do something different. Hang on. All we're doing really is copying what we thought was the miracle of football, which it was at times. We saw that Spain side and the Pep's of his great sides, but great players, great coaches.
I feel like we do it all the time, don't we, in England?
Would you think Garrett represented English coach as well?
I did.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think did fantastic.
Even Garrett was getting stick at the end. It was bizarre.
Exactly. They were throwing beer cups and that, and then 3 games later, won a game. 3 days later, won a game.
No, but was Garrett good? Did he represent England coach as well?
Yeah, very well, yeah.
I thought,
I was just going to say, as an English coach, I think we're given the impression that we copy everything that works every 2 years. So it might have been the France team with a strong, powerful team. And the next year it's Spain. The next
but then you look at Gareth.
When we're trying to copy everyone.
When United were looking for a manager, even Gareth's mention of being around United.
I couldn't believe that. I got
right. Even just to mention the amount of stick, but then you give it to, and I'm not knocking him, you give it to Ruben Amorim, who, obviously coming out of the Portuguese league, he's done okay with Sporting, but...
It's perception, right?
Yeah, it's what he's done up to this point. How can people give Gareth so much stick with what he done with England, trying to do, and talk about him so...
But there is a problem, right?
Disrespectfully,
there is a problem.
Got mentioned with United.
Because if you were successful with England, as Gareth has been with getting to finals and semi-finals, 20 years ago, he would have been a shoo-in for a top job in England. He will not get a top job in England in the top 5 or 6 teams. The likes of Terry Venables, Bobby Robson, even Glenn Hoddle obviously coached it. 25, it's changed enormously in terms of the view of English coaches because they don't get those jobs anymore. Even Gareth, who's done brilliantly, will never get linked.
I thought Gareth was a coupon buster. He didn't get the Man U job personally.
I thought he would have.
Because I thought that fitted really well coming out of a situation, managing the hardship of managing the country because it is hard out managing England.
Sean, it wouldn't have been popular with the fan base. I'm not saying
I know, but this is back to what we were talking about earlier. I was saying that the fans and the media, they're the ones that now can drive it. Yeah. But sometimes, you've got to be brave enough. Think of all the managers down the years who clubs were brave and went, do you know what? Arsene Wenger going in.
Yes.
Who's this guy? I remember him standing on the stairs, giving him, who's this guy? What's he doing? And all that. No, he had to earn his Spurs. So what's wrong with getting goals whether the fans go, yes
There's
or
no way if Gareth was at United and they're performing like this.
But it's maybe why Dan left. It's maybe why
been
Dan
gone,
left in the
yeah.
end. Dan was
Absolutely nowhere near it.
Yeah, I got the feeling that
I think Dan wanted Gareth to go in, do you think?
Because operating off and on the pitch for a Man United, that's my point. You know, the global concern that it is, someone who's at least going to give it a platform, I think, to maybe shake it down a bit and get it in a better state.
Gareth would have got that
impression.
togetherness, I think, in the which is I think is what
What
they
he
need.
did with England, yeah.
VAR, yes or no?
Yes, for me.
Wow.
I don't like it for fans.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard for fans. But having been a manager, I've been on the knife edge of success and failure on a referee's decision many times, particularly at Burnley when it was close to the end of the season and all that. You got a lot riding on that for you, all your team, contracts, money, fans, populace, all of it riding on a decision because someone didn't make a decision. So if you can clean that up with an exact decision, particularly the offside one, I mean, I do buzz off it, you know, but yeah, but it shouldn't be allowed. It was only a toe offside. And you go, yeah, I'll tell you that's something you score with, so therefore he's offside. But what's the debate? You go, no, but it shouldn't be. Why not? Okay, no one scored with their toe. You go, I can't work that one out for me. So the idea for the fans, though, not so good.
Yeah.
But let's have it right. Can they? Oh, what's all this referees talking to the crowd? I had that at the meeting. I don't mind telling you how. What's that all about? I've never heard the likes. So referees are already getting bad. They're already getting hammered. And you think by explaining to the fans, are all going to sit there, right? The modern fan will go, yeah, he's right, you know.
It's just the thing is with that is just the fan in the stadium, the paid to go in, he doesn't know what's going on. That's why I thought that maybe that was a good idea to let them know what's going on, at least whether it's
They
right
do
or
it in
wrong.
rugby league and rugby, don't they?
It's not the same populace, is it? It's not the same fan base.
Yeah.
The fans aren't all going to go quite
The
weird.
other
The
thing is, as well,
rest
my point is you've already got a referee under pressure, so now you're going to add more pressure on the fan. Because, you know, not everyone's natural to want to speak in front of loads of people.
Yeah.
So before you even get there, you're now panicking. You go, I don't want to give that decision because I'm going to have to explain it in a minute. Like, no, it was whatever you said. Yeah. That's a waste of time, all that. That's a waste of time. You know, there's one decision last year. One decision was turned over with all that. So they run over to the screen. Well, nonsense. I don't get that because that slows it down.
Yeah.
If I was a fan, I'd get rid of the referee talking to him. I'd get on with the game, just referee it.
What about with the mistakes, Sean, where people say, yeah, but it evens itself out? How does that feel for someone like yourself when they say it evens itself out? I can't
do
do that.
say
I
that,
can't
to
get
be
into it because they can finish the argument.
I know.
Yeah,
The
well, it
beauty
evens
is, I'm sure
itself out.
Dyche's going to say it. A lot of managers always say the decision's gone against it. Are you going to say that? Yeah. But every manager says that, so somebody must be getting decisions. Every manager who sits here goes, we never got any luck.
There was no two ways about it, in my opinion. Before VAR, the big clubs got the decisions.
Wow.
Sam Allardyce was right with that. Remember all them years ago? He was right, because I witnessed it all the time. Burnley, you know, you play whoever you're playing. You think, we ain't getting that. That, honestly, the number of times was ridiculous. You send them in and they go, oh, yeah, you're probably right now. And you go, well, you haven't done nothing about it because it's happened again for the fourth season on the trot. You know what I mean? So that VAR does even that out a little bit. For me, I'll tell you what I think the next step of the game is, my personal view, and I feel strongly about this. I'm not having the feign of injury now. It's getting a disgrace, I think. Footballers doing each other by feigning injury and getting them in trouble. In my day, your own teammate go, don't do that.
Like rolling around.
It was like part of the game, and I'm going, someone needs to get rid of that for me. The diving for me has got excessive. I think it's ridiculous.
Saying that, you had Ashley Young at Everton. He liked it.
Good.
He like a bit of...
Yeah, but he's all right. I know, I mean, other players, not
It's true. Some of the
Go on,
fouls
Dom.
and the screams.
1-0. Oh, the
Screams.
The screams.
It's not even just forwards who dive now. Look, it's centre halves.
Yeah. Oh, they come back on. They
I
come
was
back
at Salford, does it
on
more than anyone?
Sean,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's all the time.
Falls over, grabs the ball, gets
Remember
free
John
kick.
McGinn with the what he said to you about the coat? What was that about? He said with the coat.
I can't tell you what was said. What I said.
I remember he said something. You've been wearing that coat for 6 years or something. You said something to him, but like you took it
6
really
years
well.
is nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant.
No. I knew his brother, John
Right,
McGinn.
right.
Yeah, sorry, Steve McGinn. Sorry.
Right.
We had him at Watford.
Great lad.
Yeah.
Everybody's a great lad, you know.
That's great, lad. Great. No, it was a bit of a. Yeah, he thought I was shouting at someone.
Right.
And he thought it was him. Right. So he started coming for me, and he just said, "You, you stupid, you've had over 6 years." I said, I think it's fucking decent. Then I said something
That's
different.
funny. I like that one.
Different to him.
Yeah, but you always seem to.
I can't tell you what I said, but let's just say I had the last laugh.
What happened to respect? There was no respect that went out the window.
There was until I just rose a little bit. Then I just
I always
rose.
found that you, on the line, Sean, you weren't somebody that you weren't far away from just like as angry as smiling.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think that's a skill set, mate, to not go so far up the heat chain, you know, when you lose it.
course.
I think there's a moment when you have to go, whoa, and you have to check yourself really quick. And I think I'm pretty good at that. You know, I can go really high and then just literally and have a laugh, you know, at the same point.
I love the different, like this Sean Dyche voice and then the Sean Dyche voice after the game, the Batman.
Yeah, well, you know, you get that thing of, you know, like you can't affect players on a pitch.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I think I can. So I'm going to start shouting, and if they don't respond, it's fucking they're getting told.
Love it.
No, it does get sorted off.
Love it.
I went and checked again the other day. I went and checked
Everything
about
cool?
10 times. Yeah. I had my nose done last week, actually.
What,
I
a
couldn't
nose
breathe through one side of my
operation?
nose. Yeah. Not a job, not like a remodel. Dyche just remodeled my
It
nose.
looks the same to me.
No, yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
No, it does look.
No.
What'd you get done?
That's going to be the headline.
I said on Talksport, I said, Johnny, my mate, we're doing this little chat thing. He goes, sure you were doing when you're at the game and some glow up? And no, I'm getting my teeth done. I'm getting my nose done. That went everywhere.
Yeah.
But no, I got overhead kicked in the face 20 years ago and I couldn't breathe through that side of my nose.
I was just telling you that.
So I can breathe.
Have you had the pack? So you had the packs put in the sort of operation for the sound?
No. They did the cartilage. I know you got some work to do there, kid.
What a great place to finish.
He's going to Turkey next week.
Yeah,
I got overhead kicked in the face years ago at Gillingham, and Gia Power, I threw in the old Brave one. It went bonk. My nose went the old. So they re-broke the top bit, but the cartilage was all over the place. So for years I couldn't breathe for it. So when I went to do the LMA, you know the LMA, they do like a MOT for the managers, you know, stress and all that. And Sally Harris, the doctor there, she went, you got to get your nose. And I went, how do you know it's not? She got, it's not a nose. I can hear you breathing. Because I breathe like a rhino, you know what I mean? Stand there chatting. It's a bit off-putting when you're chatting to, like a doctor and you go, It was like, yeah, I know what you're thinking. No jokes. All right, I know. I'm 898, yeah.
It's going to be Sean gets a new job. Yours job.
Be careful what you say there, Joe.
Thanks very much for coming on Stick to Football.
No, not
Brilliant.
really.
Well done.
Thank you. Gary's got to get off.
I haven't. Yeah, I've got to do a whole all these reads.
You've got to do your reading.
Refreshing.
Oh, we're over there.
Just listening, just hearing it.
Thank you. That was good.
I love it. Every manager says, we never got any decisions. Every manager.
So who
somebody
got
must
them?
have got, who got
Who
the
got
decision?
them?
Hey, I got none at Ipswich. I'm telling you.